Good afternoon, or should I say good morning, to all of our massage therapy education colleagues across the country. I'm Robin Anderson. I am the president-elect of the Massage Therapy Foundation, and in conjunction with the Alliance for Massage Therapy Education, we welcome you to our webinar on resources for educators. I'd like to introduce you to my fellow presenters, first starting with our Vice President, Brent Jackson. Say hello and tell us a little about yourself.
Hi, I'm Brent Jackson. I am the Vice President for the Massage Therapy Foundation, also the the Education Committee Chair, and as well as the Program Director for Massage Therapy for Central Carolina Technical College. Okay, thank you, Robin.
Thank you. And then I'd like to welcome our colleagues from the Alliance on Massage Therapy Education, Michele Renee and Stan Dawson. Michele, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes, thank you, Robin. Such a pleasure to be here with you today. I am the president of the Alliance for Massage Therapy Education, and I'm coming to you from Minneapolis, Minnesota. I'm working here in the Twin Cities at Northwestern Health Sciences University as the Director of Integrative Care, previously as the Program Director for the Massage Therapy programs, and have been teaching at the university for some time now. So good to be here with you.
Great, great. And Stan, tell us a little about you.
Well, hi everyone. It's welcome and glad to have you with us today. My background is in massage chiropractic. I am the immediate past president of the Alliance for Massage Therapy Education. I was in the group that started the organization and was on the first board. I've been with the organization for its entire 10, 11 years. And I'm looking forward to this presentation today.
Great. And just a little about me, I am the program director of the Community College of Baltimore County's Massage Therapy program, and also one of the online learning coordinators for the School of Health Professions. And I'm coming to you from Baltimore, Maryland today, in my new office in our new building that we just moved into in August of this year. Yes, so even in the middle of a pandemic, we still move into brand new buildings. All right, well, let's go ahead and get started. Michele, would you like to tell us a little bit about what the Alliance is up to these days, and tell us a little bit about what their mission is?
Absolutely. So the Alliance for Massage Therapy Education is a nonprofit organization. As Stan said, we've been around for about 11 years now, and our mission is really around massage therapy educators. We serve as an independent voice, advocate, and resource for massage therapy and bodywork education community. And we really work to build community across the country, provide a place for people to share ideas and learn from one another. So we wanted to just talk to you about a few of our recent projects that we're doing. If we could click on, yeah. So we have our COVID recommendations for educators that we worked on over the summer. I'm going to tell you a little bit more in depth about that in just a few minutes. And we also did a series of webinars around COVID. And as you all know, when COVID struck, massage therapy educators were impacted significantly by that. So we had a nice opportunity to talk about that. We also had we are starting a task force on equity, diversity, and inclusion that I'll tell you a little bit more about in a few minutes. And we started a mentorship project that I'm excited to tell you about. We will be continuing that project. We have educator certification, which Stan will share much more about later, competencies for educators, and a certification that's available now. And then we have our virtual conference coming up in July of 2021, followed by face-to-face or hybrid in 22. So that's what we have going on. We'll tell you a little bit more about all of that in just a couple of minutes.
That all sounds really great. Thanks so much, Michele. We look forward to hearing more detail about some of those things that you just brought up today. Well, the Massage Therapy Foundation, we are also a nonprofit organization, and our goal or our mission is to advance the knowledge and practice of massage therapy, but we do this by supporting research as well as education, which is going to be our focus today, and community service. We try to hit all of those aspects. And Brent, can you talk a little bit about some of the programs and opportunities that we have going on at the foundation?
Sure, we have several different opportunities through the foundation. We really have something for everyone, and that's the great thing about the foundation. It's a great way of, having research that actually builds, credibility into your own practice if you're a practitioner. We have things for educators such as Research Perch and different tools. We have great community service grants. It's one of the greatest things I personally like about the Massage Therapy Foundation, giving back to populations that may not get massage if it hadn't been for some of the research or the community service grants. And we also have grants and contests for students as well, such as our case report contest. So we have many things for both the student, the researcher, the faculty members and staff that are teaching, as well as the everyday therapist.
Thanks, Brent. One of the things that we're really happy about in providing this webinar today is the fact that the Alliance, as well as the Foundation, we have this mutual collaborative effort here, which is how this webinar came about. Our whole goal was to try to support educators, particularly during this difficult time. So our commitment to education and research literacy and how important that is for the profession. But also, we both share the sort of the mission for advocating for requiring research as part of curricula and how important that is to massage therapists in advancing our profession. And then as well as providing resources that help facilitate learning and instruction, both as practitioners, but also as educators. And so this is why we felt like this webinar would be such a great partnership that we can present all of our resources together today. So we hope you will enjoy what we have to present. So speaking of resources, I'd like to go ahead and have my colleague here, Michele, go ahead and talk to us a little bit about the resources at the Alliance. Thanks, Michele.
Thanks so much, Robin. Well, the first one that I want to tell you a little bit more about is our COVID-19 recommendations. So, we were all scrambling, I think, in March, April, May to figure out what this meant for us as massage therapists in the profession, but also as educators. And I think there's an interesting intersection for massage therapy educators in that, yes, we're in the classroom, but we also have techniques to teach. What did that mean to move to a virtual space? How could we come back into the classroom safely? And so we created a task force to build out this set of recommendations, and it was built upon a number of other resources that were in the community, but we found that there were some gaps around education that we felt like needed to be filled. So we gathered up educators and administrators from across the country to help us build these recommendations, and then vetted it with even more instructors and administrators across the country, and came up with this list of areas of concerns and considerations and solutions by topic. There's nothing rigid about them. They're just a number of items for people to consider and some ideas around all of those topics, with really an emphasis on adaptability and flexibility, because even at that time when we published these over the summer, it was already clear at that time that we're going to be in this moment for a while. And probably there would be some opening and closing, a little bit back and forth, right? So whatever schools decide to do moving forward would need to be adaptable in its nature. So take a look at those. They're on our website, available for you. This is a picture of what that looks like, and those are free for everyone to take a look at. So next slide. On a related topic, earlier this summer, we did the COVID-19 webinar series. And again, everybody was on their own trying to figure out how to manage COVID. This webinar series was really valuable because it gave an opportunity for educators to come together and hear from one another, ask questions of one another. Each week we had a presenter. Oftentimes that maybe was even the other professional associations that were doing some really great work in gathering up some resources for the massage therapy profession, and then having conversations with our educators around how we were handling each of those topics. So that was just a very successful project for us, and one that we would like to continue and include some other new topics. And those topics will be selected based on what our educator community needs. This is all about building opportunities for connection and communication. So some probable topics that we'll do are some best practices in virtual learning, since obviously we will be here for a while in some capacity or another. And then this topic of equity, diversity, and inclusion, how do we create a sense of belongingness in massage schools and for massage educators, increasing representation, building rubrics that promote enhanced learning. That seems to be a topic that a lot of people are really interested in. And then this last topic, one that is also a favorite of the Massage Therapy Foundation, incorporating new evidence in massage. What have we learned lately? How do we adapt our teaching to reflect things that we used to think were true and now we have learned are not true? Those are some topics that we would like to touch on in our webinar series as well.
And we're happy to support you with that, Michele.
Yes, we'll have you join us for some of those webinars, Robin. I think that would be
Sure.
really fun. All right, our next topic here is a task force that we have just recently assembled in September, this task force on equity, diversity, and inclusion. And we're really putting a lens on racial disparities in massage therapy education right now. Just as a personal note, as I mentioned, I live here in Minneapolis. This is very close to the George Floyd murder that created this civil unrest in our country, or I'd say kicked off a lot of civil unrest in our country. And we saw a lot of organizations making statements about anti-racism or their attitudes about equity, diversity, and inclusion. And we wanted to really dig into that a little bit and walk our talk and take some hard looks at do some self-reflection and gather some data on what racial disparities look like within massage therapy as a profession, specifically in education. So there's some data gathering to do there. We're looking at what is available in the literature, what do we know about that, and then how can we do a better job? How can we provide more mentorship? How can we be more inclusive as an organization? So we're working on that, and we think we can also provide some fantastic resources for our educators to use within their schools as well. So that's a really exciting project that we're working on. We'll keep you posted on that. All right, and then we have our mentorship program. So, you know, as I was reflecting on this in advance of our time together today, I was just thinking about how many incredible mentors I've had in my life who have really created the educator that I am today. And that's not something that just takes place when we're learning to teach, right? That's something that happens throughout our lives. I currently have some really important mentors who continue to help me grow as an educator, as a professional. So this year we created a mentorship project within AFMTE and connecting educators with more seasoned educators to help them grow. And this could be around specific topics. This is also, I think one point that I'd like to make about it is this is a really valuable experience, again, both for brand new educators as well as for people who have been in the field for 10 or 15 years, right? There still is a lot to learn as an educator every year that we're teaching. So this was really successful, 10 weeks of learning, sharing, skill building, one-on-one mentorship. So we're going to continue doing this. You can look for more opportunities. They might be topic specific. You could request specific topics that you want to work on. So stay tuned about that. We'll share upcoming opportunities for mentorship that you could participate in. And it's at no charge.
Great.
All right, I'm going to hand this over to Stan to share a little bit with us about our National Teacher Education Standards.
Okay, thanks, Michele. So at our first two conferences, like one in 2010, one in 2011, we surveyed the attendees at those conferences and asked them if they thought teacher certification would be a good way to improve the quality of massage education. And there was overwhelming, not unanimous, but a significant majority of people supported the concept of teacher certification. And with that backing, the organization focused on and developed this project, the National Teacher Education Standards Project. And it's a 5-phase project ultimately designed to roll out teacher certification, which we call CMBE, Certified Massage and Bodywork Educator. So let's go through the 5 stages of the project. And these are listed on the website. If you look at this, you see this slide shows a screenshot of the standard project on our website. Next slide. So in the first stage of this project, we got a task force together that was very large, probably a dozen or more people. And over time, over a couple of years, it was maybe more like 15 people, got together, educators from around the country, and we looked at competencies in K through 12 education in multiple states around the country. And we integrated in competencies that relate to the specialized aspect of massage and bodywork education, because there's a transformative process that goes on in massage education due to the touch and due to the intense evolution in the mind-body process in a short period of time. And when you integrate the standard educational competencies for, say, high school teachers with massage and bodywork specific competencies, you'll come up with something like our core competencies. It's divided into 10 standards, 4 general areas, 2 levels, and basically our CEMBE program is based on the level 1 competencies, which are for anyone from entry-level educators to less than masterful teachers, people who are developing their teaching skills. The design of it is to create teachers who are not only content experts, but also have some knowledge of teaching philosophy and principles. So things like classroom management that you don't learn by going through massage school, but a lot of people came out of massage school and were thrown into teaching relatively quickly within a couple of years, but without any training in how to teach. So this is set up to not only to, let's say, complement the training and content expertise with teaching expertise. This was published after 2 rounds of release and public comment, was finally published in early 2013. Next slide. The second stage, well, actually, let me back up one step. Don't have to change the slide back, but if you are, and say early in your teaching career, one of the things we recommend is if you're trying to improve yourself as an educator, we have a self-assessment tool so that you can take a look at the competencies and evaluate yourself in terms of your mastery of that set of competencies. And if you're trying to improve, you can design your own self-improvement program based on that self-assessment and beef up your competence in each of the 10 standards. The second step is on the slide that's on the screen now, teacher resources. This is something that MTF has teacher resources, we have teacher resources, the association groups have teacher resources. The idea here is people can look at materials for teaching and massage programs, faculty development, CE presentations was slightly different from faculty, instructional tools, books, webinars, articles, all kinds of stuff on there. And our committee that works on refining this set of resources online has redesigned the website to make it much more useful. There's twice a year, the resource list is being reviewed and updated. And we'd like you to check it out on our website. So that was the second stage of kind of preparing people to see if they had resources to learn how to teach better, basically. And let's go to the next slide. So if you're going to have a group of certified teachers, you can do a portfolio review of existing experienced people and see if they have mastery of the competencies at a level that's you know, sufficient to award certification. But if you are not an experienced teacher, you may need to go through a teacher training program, and you may want to anyway. And so what we did in the third phase of our project here is develop a model curriculum for teacher training courses. And this is, we have the core competencies, and our model curriculum are open sourced intellectual property that are designed to be shared with anyone, freely offered, with the caveat that you sign an attribution agreement, which simply says a couple of things. One is, if you use our core competencies and model curriculum content in the development of your teacher training course, that you simply credit the Alliance as a resource for, you know, how you brought your course together. It's not a strict requirement. It is commonsensical. We also do encourage people to have at the end of their course a portfolio review process so that people can learn how to go through and get teacher certification through the Alliance after they finish their teacher training course. This will prepare you to create your portfolio and get certified. So we invite people who are interested in developing a teacher training course to contact us, and we'll hook you up with our intellectual property freely and help you get started. Next slide. The fourth stage, which is really the core of the project, the whole goal, is the CMBE educator, the Certified Massage and Bodywork Educator program. And this was just rolled out last year, and it's based on a portfolio review process. We have reviewers, we have webinars that help you understand how to create the portfolio. It includes some evidence of, you know, where you are shown teaching in a classroom setting, either online or in person. And there are webinars to support the development of each element in the portfolio. And then we have reviewers who review the portfolio once it's submitted and determine whether or not your portfolio is sufficient to justify issuing certification to that applicant. We got a nice, really generous grant from the AMTA to help us finance this. We've gotten support from ABMP in helping their members who are also trying to become certified, helps pay half of their application fee. And the application fee is, I think it's $199, and the renewal, which will be every 3 years, will be $99. The fifth phase is really also very crucial, because once you offer this program, it's voluntary. It's not something that people are obligated to do or required to do, but there's a potential for that to become a little more the case in the future if accreditors include the requirement that their accredited schools have certified teachers in their classrooms, then that will make it more likely, obviously, that creditors or people who teach in accredited schools have to become certified. The same thing could happen if NCB, TMB asked it of their CE providers, and if the FSMTB asked it of their CE providers, that it's not, I guess it would have to be at the state board level, and not FSMTB wouldn't have a policy that would apply in this, but the individual boards could. And if boards and approved providers and accredited faculty were asked to become certified, then this whole project will bear more fruit in the long run and raise the level of massage education nationally, which is the whole point. You know, the accreditation helps, curriculum management, which is partly through accreditation, partly through state board regulations, helps the quality of education, the requirements for who can teach at the state level in state approved schools, helps the quality of education. And this is kind of our contribution to trying to raise the quality of education nationally, is teacher certification, CMBE. And let's go to the next slide. All right, so every 2 years we have been having a Congress, and our next one is coming up in July. We made it a virtual one because the uncertainty of COVID, and then we will have an in-person or a hybrid conference a year after that in 2022. Essentially, if you come to these congresses, you will be in a community of educators. You will have CE opportunities. You'll learn about something that it relates to instructors in schools, administrators, school owners, CE providers. There'll be kind of cutting edge issues, topical, let's say time sensitive and appropriate issues. One of the things we always look to cover is providing courses in research literacy in the curriculum of massage programs. We support that and encourage that. We encourage accreditation. We encourage standards, raising the standards wherever possible to influence the quality of massage education. That is, that's our role. That's what we're here to try to do. And we know we're not the only organization around doing that, but we seem to have a niche here in teacher certification and a lot of overlap with other organizations that we support and who support us. So in July next year, we hope that you come to our conference and enhance your skills. So that's,
well, thanks, Dan. That sounds great.
Okay.
Sounds wonderful. We really appreciate what both you and Michele have brought to the forefront here with regards to all of the information and resources that the Alliance provides for educators. And you brought up a very good point, which is that we all want to see how research literacy becomes a core competency in education. And that's where my colleague Brent and I are going to kind of take the reins here and sort of go into that, how we can do that by showing some of the resources that the foundation can provide you with regards to that. So one of the things that we believe in terms of research literacy is its importance in our profession. We want to be able to reach a level in the massage therapy profession where we are operating on an evidence-informed and eventually developed an evidence-based practice model. You know, massage therapy research, as I tell some of my students, seem to be still in its infancy with regards to how much research is out there, because really it's only been in the last 30 years or so that we really have had research sort of grow and grow in the massage therapy profession. So we're still kind of youngins compared to other healthcare professions, but we're getting there and we're growing. So, and that's part of the reason why the foundation is growing as well. So we like to see things like being able to show skills and interprofessional collaboration with patient and client care. And, that's important too, because being able to interact with other healthcare professionals is always in the best interest of caring for our patients and clients. And how can massage therapists be a part of those teams? And that can be supported through research. Brent, why don't you talk about these other two features?
Yeah, so one of the things with research literacy is, really adds meaning and relevance to our work. And what we mean by that is being able to pull out information that supports what we do, communicates what we do. And as you were talking about the interdisciplinary, it really forms this bridge in which the practitioner, the massage therapist, can actually share information with their healthcare professionals, other healthcare professionals, and show that here's some research that backs what I do. Here's some research that gives validity to what I do and how it relates to what you're doing. So it really helps to add meaning and create those bridges as you were talking about. And then the other bullet point, students become inquisitive about strength of source information. I think we can all agree as educators, it's important that, over our lifetime, as we're all sitting here as panelists, information has changed. And it really is showing students that information will continue to change, and to really be able to question the credibility of all the information that they're coming to them, because as they question the information coming to them, then they're going to question the information that they're giving to their clients and patients and say, I really need to make sure that what I'm saying is either validated or I have supporting evidence. So it really makes them question the resources that they have and the information coming in, and which will make us all, it's our job as educators to make sure the next generation is much better than what we are. So that's an important part of it.
Yes, absolutely. So, since we tend to be in a virtual world these days with regards to education, the Massage Therapy Foundation has so many different resources that you can use in the classroom. And as you see all these tiles that we have in front of you, if you go to the Massage Therapy website and go to the resources tab, you will find all of these neat little tiles that you can click on to access all of these different resources that we have, whether you're an educator or a practitioner. Now, Brent and I are going to go over some of these resource tabs so that way you can see how they can be used in the classroom. Brent, do you have anything to add there?
Yeah, I was just going to add that as you're looking through our resources for massage therapy, and there's so many different things, and like you said, you just click on a tab and it takes you there. But if for some reason you're looking for specific information, I would really like to tell any educator out there, we have a wonderful staff. You can call the staff; they'll easily assist you in finding any of these resources. And one of the other great things about this is whether you're a donor or not, these resources are available to you. And that's one of the biggest things, is it's here for you. It's here for all massage therapists. And so, just remember to reach out if you can't find what you're looking for. And as we go on to the next slide, massage therapy resources for instructors. It really, one of the great things about this is that how it came about. And Robin, if you want to, before I get into the actual content of the book, if you would like to just tell us about how did we come about the Instructor's Guide to Teaching research?
Well, one of the things that we wanted to hear from is the educators themselves. So we conducted a survey at a couple of different educator conferences, school summits. I think we might have even done it at Congress, but we had this survey available to students. I have students on the brain, to educators. And one of the things that we said is, what is it that we can do at the foundation that we can provide for you that can be helpful? And one of the things that was a resounding comment was that instructors wanted ways in which they could teach research or incorporate research in their curriculum. And so we answered that calling, and this is how this ebook came about.
So, and one of the ways that we pulled in together, especially the authors of this book, we pulled in, several different people. There's a large group of people who contributed to this, but it's anywhere from authors such as Ruth Werner, who plays a really pivotal part in pathology education as well as research. He's one of our past presidents here. Also Pete Whitridge, which was involved with the Alliance for Massage Therapy Education. We really pulled in teachers, researchers, teachers who have a great deal of knowledge, authors who have a great deal of knowledge. And we put together this ebook that, again, it's free to you. And it really, we found it empowers the educator. And through empowering the educator, we empower the students. Because one of the things it does is it takes you through Ruth's information of what is the current information, what is the language, the vocabulary that we need to know in order to present research. It's already there for you. You don't even have to look it up. It's in chapters 1 and 2. And then the great thing is you come in and I'll teach you how to actually dissect the information, how to look at things like the methods and really compare the methods and get students to say, this was a great study, but we could have strengthened it in these ways. You know, to really say, hey, this is great, but how can we strengthen it? Then we get into Pete's section, which really takes you into discovering, where can I find this research? You may say to yourself, I'm an educator on a budget. I don't have, you know, X amount of dollars to go invest in some type of, you know, database. Well, guess what? Pete already outlines, whether you're on a budget or not a budget, these are some great ways where you can find these resources. And then we get into Robin's 2 chapters of, so what do we do with this? How do we apply it? How do we apply research as students? And then how do we apply research really, you know, once we become massage therapists or when the student becomes massage therapist? Here's the great thing about this book. It not only outlines the information, it gives you some lesson plans. It gives you exactly detailed things about what you can do in your classrooms. If you want to be very specific and you have hours and hours to teach research, there's lesson plans and activities that you can do. If you only have 30 minutes to actually pull in maybe a little bit of research here and there, it gives you activities to do. And it's all there and it's all free for you. So all you have to do is if you look at, it says massagetherapyfoundation.org/resources/ebooks, and there it is, and all you have to do is download it. It is a great tool. So but I want to say one more thing about empowering students, because especially when we look at again Pete's chapter, it gives the students the tools that the instructors are using. So they say, when I'm out on my own, I can actually look up this information myself. I have the tool now. You know, they say about teach a man to give a man a fish and he'll eat for the day, teach a man to fish and he'll eat for a lifetime. Well, chapter 4 is all about teaching students to fish for that information and really become the professionals that you are. And it's an empowering moment for the students. So as we move on to classroom applications, Robin, tell us some of the ways that you're incorporating some of these resources.
Yeah, and some of these classroom applications are from the ebook, so we're just kind of going over a few of them just to kind of give you some examples. So I teach a full research course here in my program at the Community College of Baltimore County. So it's important for me when I teach in the classroom to talk about foundational knowledge and becoming comfortable with research. So one of the ways I do that is in an esoteric way that doesn't even have any relation to research, but it really does. And a lot of times they say, Professor Anderson, you've lost your mind. But hey, that's me, but I end up getting through to them in some way, shape, or form. We do this what's called a recipe exchange, where I have the students pick a recipe on Food Network or some other type of culinary website, or Pinterest is a popular one, where they find a recipe and they actually follow it to the letter, and they take pictures of their end result and they share their results with their fellow students. Now, if you're doing this online, you can do this in a discussion board where they can upload a picture and then talk about their experience. But then in the following week, what I have them do is to go back and pick another student's recipe that has been posted or shared, and they have to make the same recipe. And then what I want them to do is compare notes to the person who originally made the recipe. Did it come out the same? Did you make any variations? What were the conditions in which you made the recipe? Was it similar or different? All of these aspects, when you do a recipe, is very similar to research and how we apply it in massage therapy practice. And so I love to have them do that, because they're like, what does this have to do with research? Everything, because research is like recipes and how we apply it in evidence-informed practice. And so it's a great fun activity. And then the little light bulbs go off. Another way that we can do that too is a lot of times when students look at research articles and they see the different sections of a research article, it can be intimidating to them. And so I like to do what's sort of like a puzzle activity, where I take the parts of the research article and post them either across the classroom, or we do it in an electronic format, and I have them identify, you know, this is an abstract, or this is the references section, or this is the introduction section. And they just kind of get familiar with what the features are and be able to identify it. You know, once you get that type of information in the beginning, it really is makes a lot of the other more complex aspects a little bit more, you know, easier to digest. So next slide.
So one of the things that we do, especially, or one of the great things, is we have the IJTMB, which is the International Journal of Therapeutic Massage and Bodywork. It is a free resource. Again, all you have to do is get on and register it. It's even a great activity to get the students to go on and register with you, so you know that they have access to the International Journal of Therapeutic Massage and Bodywork. It is a peer-reviewed journal, and that's very important. So you're going to have these same articles. It's a great resource for articles that you can pull up with your students. And what I recommend is, and especially easy to do, is you can see the illustration under the IJTMB logo. We've all been on Zoom and GoToMeetings and things like that, but it's easy to actually take these articles and give them to students and put them in breakout sessions, give them different articles, put the students in the virtual breakout sessions and have them look at or find different things in the research articles. Another thing that you can do is, prior to this, even have the students construct or look at an article and then construct their own study. It could be something as simple as, just so that they start understanding research, what type of instrument does everyone in the class take notes with, okay? How many people use pens? How many people use black ink pens, blue ink pens? Something that gets them on that research track, and then switch it over to massage therapy application. But the great thing is the IJTMB gives you tons and tons of research articles, peer-reviewed articles and studies in which the students can actually dissect, and it's great for live discussions too. There's several different aspects of the journal, different portions, and while I'm on that, I would really like to mention for all you educators out there, the IJTMB would like for educators to submit not only studies about, of course, massage therapy, but about educational practices. And that's really how not only the foundation, but also the Alliance comes in, is because we all have different teaching modalities, we have different activities that we're using, and really pull in the data from that and submit your studies to the IJTMB. So, I really strongly recommend to any of you out there listening, if you have something, that you're doing, to actually bring it up, and you're always welcome to contact our editor, which is ABK, Ann Blair Kennedy, and she can actually help you with that information. But Robin, I know you do some things as well with the IJTMB.
Yes, I do. I actually do since I'm teaching my course online right now, I do discussion boards with them, and I have them read case reports, but I also have them critique them in a way that even as a simple case report on a common condition like low back pain, for example. I ask the students, could they duplicate what they just read? Did you understand it enough to say, because a lot of times they'll read it and say, oh, that was a great article. Well, how great was it? Could you duplicate what was written? Could you apply it to a client? Why or why not? Make them think, ask those questions. So, and yes, you can do that in a virtual format in addition to being face-to-face. Next slide. So another way that you can sort of help with comprehension of research articles, and a lot of times students need other forms of delivery. Sometimes the reading the article is not enough to help sort of hammer in or hone in on understanding how research articles present their data and their research. And one of the ways that we do this is through the Research Perch podcast that we have. It's free access. If you have a smartphone, tablet, computer, you can download the app. It comes in a variety of different subjects, and many times we are interviewing the actual researchers themselves, or we're breaking down the article in a more simpler format, and it's like 20 minutes, 25 minutes, real simple, small formats, and it's really great. The assignment that I do with podcasts is I have my students write journals. I have them pick 2 particular research perches, have them listen to it from beginning to end, and I want them to do sort of a short journal. What did you learn? What did you find out? What topic did you learn something about through that research perch? And it's another way of sort of extending comprehension of research without having actually read a research article at all, but you still became informed of the evidence that's there. Brent, how do you use them?
Well, one of the things that I'm glad that you hit on is these podcasts vary in subject matter. We have podcasts that are on studies about cardiovascular flow. We have studies about pain management. We have studies about hospital-based massage therapy. And we also have podcasts for educators. And all of these range, just like you said, anywhere from 10 minutes to an hour. Well, one of the great things about this is those research perches take this information and they simplify it, okay? Because let me tell you, when I first started getting into research or reading research, I was lost and afraid. And really, these research perches take that information and they really show you this is what's the value of it, and it simplifies it for the student. It simplifies it for the educator too, if I have to be honest, so that we're not as nervous. And that's the great thing, is like, if you think, well, I'm not so sure about getting up in front of a class and talking about research, guess what? We have research professionals that are experts in their fields, and they take it, and usually there's a moderator that helps break it down even into more simple terms, and you can actually play this in front of the class where the whole class is watching it. You have actual panelists who are experts in it that are breaking it down, so you as the educator don't have to worry about, am I going to break it down right, am I going to simplify it correctly? It's already there. And the great thing is whether you've got an hour that you want the student to watch it at home and come back and discuss it as a class, or maybe you've got 30 minutes and you want the whole class to watch it and then discuss it, those podcasts are there. And I really want to remind you that those podcasts are also there for, we've got a couple from the Instructor's Guide to Teaching Research. We've got an instructor who's been teaching research a long time, and she shows us how she's able to really reformat her material and bring in new material and kind of revamp her research. We've also got a podcast with a brand new educator who's coming in, and we help him really pick out some things that he could do great for his class. And then again, we also have Pete Wheatridge, who came with us and shows the actual instructor, this is how you teach students how to look up information. Those are all 10 to 15 minutes. You could use them in a faculty meeting if you're an administrator. Hey, come here, faculty members, come here, teachers, let's sit around this table. And just as Stan was saying, where you're creating your own courses to help strengthen your own faculty, it's a great way to bring in 10, 15 minutes, say, let's all watch this, come up with ideas of teaching research. So I use podcasts many different ways, but I really like to come together as a class, watch the podcast, and then we discuss it as a class. So that's how I use it. I love podcasts. I mean, I love Research Perch. So.
Everybody likes the owl too. All right, next slide. So this is one of the applications that I absolutely love, and I like to call this the mind-blowing experiences for my students, because it's showing how evidence-based or evidence information can change your mindset about the way you're thinking of things. The one ebook that I absolutely love to make my students read is The Myths and Truths of Massage Therapy, because they start out as, entry-level, students, and they're just learning how to do their techniques and everything, and we tell them about the benefits of massage, and we touch upon these topics, but then there's things that they've heard out in the universe about massage therapy, and I have them read that book, and all of a sudden it's like, wow, I had no idea that wasn't true, or we don't have evidence to support that. The sacred cows, I love the sacred cows. It's fabulous. So that's one of the great ebooks. I also like to use the one working with physicians, since my students also work in clinical based environments in healthcare settings like oncology centers and so forth. So, and it really just kind of, I love just seeing how it starts to change their mindset. They start to embrace the research. Brent, how do you use it in the classroom?
Well, I'm right along with you. My two favorites, of course, are 5 Myths and Truths About Massage Therapy and Working with Physicians. I want to touch a little bit on Tracy Walton's 5 Myths and Truths About Massage Therapy. I often use that as a precursor to teaching research, because she goes into some common myths, some common things that we as veteran massage therapists really have heard over the years. Some people still use them, and Tracy breaks it down into not only just, hey, this is information that's not supported, but she also talks about the ethical reasons as to why we must quit perpetuating the myths. Okay, how we have a responsibility as massage and bodywork professionals to not keep relaying information that's not founded or supported. My favorite one is she talks about how massage therapists talk about releasing toxins, and she really addresses that. That's my favorite part of that whole book, I have to be honest with you. But it's a great place to start with my students and say, you guys need to be prepared to change throughout your career, that new information is coming out. Let me show you something that we used to be taught in massage school and why that's no longer relevant and why you shouldn't say that. And she also talks about, avoiding embarrassment, because what happens when you tell a client, hey, this is flushing out toxins, and they later discover that's not true, does that add to your credibility or take away from your credibility? So she goes into the ethical decision making, the consequences, and how we change that. So it's not just about saying, hey, this is wrong. she really goes into this great discussion about why we need to change those mindsets. And again, a great place for any of you, especially with big changes that we're all seeing in massage therapy about going into healthcare, that working with physicians that Laura Allen does, truly remarkable ebook, and it's a great place for any program to really start to say, you know, are we meeting the basics that we really need to teach our students of working and communicating with physicians? The others as well, Tina Allen did a fantastic job with pediatric massage. We do have our the case for pain relief, those big research studies, and as well, Ruth's How to Connect with a Researcher. Especially if you're really looking to get into research, that first ebook is amazing, okay?
Yeah, absolutely. My students have actually been known to, after graduation, print out the 5 myths and truths and bring it to work with them to show their colleagues. And I'm like, yay, I've taught you something. Michele, I know that we have talked online about, or offline about your ebooks because you use it at Northwestern. Tell us a little bit about how you use it.
Well, I think one of the wonderful things about this topic is the idea that it creates a sense of being a lifelong learner, and the fact that research is a living, breathing thing. It's not a fixed state of being, right? We continue to evolve and learn new things and update our thinking. And so I think that that's a really important concept to teach learners from the beginning while they're in school, that, you know, essentially we're probably telling you some things that we will later find not to be exactly that way. So don't get too attached to all the ideas. What's important is being committed to gathering new evidence as you go and being willing to shift your perspective in order to be able to see things differently. So that flexibility of thought, that ability to hold 2 ideas in your head at one time, to consider different points of view, to know that the research is going to continue to evolve. So even if you think you're informed about a topic, it's good to continue to look later and see what we know now. Right? So
Yeah.
I think those are some important concepts that I bring home to the students about this.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great. See, just all different ways in which we use just this one resource. It's excellent. Next slide. So another way that you can create another alternative format delivery, again, if podcasts aren't the thing, then you can use infographics. So, and I find that with infographics, what's great about that is not only does it in today's, smartphone app, quick, reading world, that it breaks it down into simplified ways of explaining an article in very simple terms and getting to the crux of what was discovered in the research. But more importantly, it can be incorporated in your on-campus clinics for those of you that run clinics where you're seeing members of the public, and showing the students how they can use those resources to inform their clients about certain conditions. You have a person that comes in, with Parkinson's, or has early stages of Parkinson's, how the student can share that case report infographic with them, and they can be shown as more well-informed about that particular topic. And then that shows them that they really care about their client and what they can do to help them with their condition or help them manage their condition. So it just kind of helps that application process and just going into that critical thinking phase. So it's just another wonderful way that you can use so many different resources that the Massage Therapy Foundation has right on their website right for you. Next slide. So another thing that sometimes we like to kind of bring this full circle and have students perhaps see if they embrace research enough that they might want to consider writing a case report. So I know that that can be a big leap for some students. In my particular course that I teach, we write a case report proposal project, because sometimes it's hard to find a subject that you could research and actually do the actual treatment on, collect data. That may be a lot for a student to do, but you could certainly base it on a fictitious patient. I've had some students do it on a celebrity. Like, for example, Michael J. Fox is known to have Parkinson's disease, so they might decide to do a case report based on Michael J. Fox, but not necessarily on, identifying him. But there's enough information out in the media that you could develop a client subject and do a proposal based on, that particular condition, and research it and apply the knowledge, create a treatment plan, and speculate what potentially the outcomes could be. Michele, I know that you had mentioned to me that you use case reports in your programs at Northwestern. Is that true?
We do, and I think it's just a fantastic opportunity for students to do real literature search based on a very specific topic and answer some of those questions about generalizability. Is the literature that they're finding actually applicable to the case? And are they able to then utilize some of the information they're finding in that literature and report back on how that worked with their client? And the other thing that I find to be so valuable about the case report project is outcome measurement tools, right? It gives us a really practical way to talk about how are we measuring our outcomes, and really moving beyond just talking about a visual analog scale or a 1 through 10, right? Life is much more complicated than that. And so it gives us an opportunity to explore lots of different outcome measurement tools and talk about how those are valuable in a massage therapy practice in order to communicate what we do. And I think it's an opportunity to really break the case report project up into bite-sized pieces to help students understand each section of that. And then we encourage them to apply for your contest and hope that
yes.
maybe as professionals, they might be feel like they're prepared to write a case report and contribute it to the body of evidence.
Yes, absolutely. And we do have that case report hub that is on our website. You see the web address right there. I have to tell you that I was a student case report winner. I won a bronze level award way back when I was a wee massage therapist student. And you know, it changed the way that I practiced, and I probably wouldn't be in my practice and an educator today if it wasn't for that experience in doing that case report. So it really can be transformational learning for a student. Brent, how do you use case reports, or the thought of case reports, in a slightly different way in your program?
Well, one of the things, especially when you're teaching new students, they don't have that data that we've built up over years as massage therapists. So one of the things I recommend, especially when they're creating treatment plans in the clinical area, is especially when we're talking about frequency and duration, they don't have that experience to say this client needs to come to me, you know, every week for 6 weeks to try to alleviate this. So one of the ways that we really target an area as far as this is we really look at the frequency and duration when it comes to the methods, and say, okay, now let's see someone, you know, here's your client from clinic, maybe they had rheumatoid arthritis. Here's the study that talks about that this particular population had one massage for 6 weeks for every week. Let's put that into your treatment plan as evidence of, or at least not necessarily evidence, but support of why you're picking your treatment plan. So that's just one of the ways that we incorporate that information.
Yep. Real world application. That's the whole idea, is taking the research and putting it into real world application. Next slide.
So when we come to additional approaches, and we've kind of discussed this, so I'm not gonna spend too long on this, but really chapter 4 again in that Instructor's Guide to Teaching Research really goes over this. So you do have that resource, but you know, finding research, whether it's PubMed or Google Scholar scavenger hunts, really the International Journal of Therapeutic Massage and Bodywork, or the Journal of Bodywork and Bodywork and Movement Therapies, and the Journal of Complementary and Alternate Health. These are some resources that we really suggest to students. It's really massage specific, especially these last 3. You know, you're more likely to find massage therapy related information. But I would like to say, along with this, and I know Robin, you're going to talk about this, is don't count out other professions, though, healthcare professions, because there's a lot of massage therapy techniques and studies that are done in other professions in conjunction with their scopes of practice. So don't rule out other types of healthcare journals. So Robin,
Yep.
how about you?
Yeah, that's exactly what I tell my students. Not only are the core ones that you just mentioned, but also, you know, look at physical therapy, look at occupational therapy, look at athletic training, look at nursing. All of those types of professions have some overlaps in terms of scopes of practices with manual therapy. And you should look at what they have in their literature too, because it might help to inform ways at which we can practice as well or expand upon it. Next slide. So I know we've given you all of these different ways of which you can sort of incorporate research into your curriculum, but we all hear this from our students. I don't like research. I don't want to read this. This is too hard, or I can't understand this. So a lot of times what we need to do as instructors is sort of figure out what is the resistance or fear, find the why. Why is it that students are so reluctant to incorporate this as part of their mindset? One way that I seem to see that is, and we all know this, massage therapy students generally are not numbers people. Okay, they didn't get into this profession to be numbers, with numbers, right? I'll admit I'm not good with numbers either at all. Numbers are scary, okay? Statistical results can be very scary. You look at those results and see those tables and be like, I have no idea what this means. But if you can help them to decipher some of those things, give them some key elements that they should look for so they're not overwhelmed by the numbers. And sometimes with research, that's what the researchers try to do, is to overwhelm you with numbers to try to mask what really happened in the study. And so we have to give students confidence to be able to look beyond that, to make their own educated and informed decision about what they're reading in research, but be able to see the key elements so that way they can determine whether or not there's strength in the research that they're seeing and whether or not it should be applied to practice. Now, Brett, how do you try to overcome this?
Well, I would like to say that, again, the fear is not just with students. The fear is with teachers as well. We all have that fear, and it's important that we recognize that fear and, again, find resources like these that are available in order to help us and to overcome those fears. But really, one of the things I'd actually like to share that we do is something that we actually had an educator reach out to the foundation who had been, downloaded the Teacher's Guide to Teaching Research, or the Instructor's Guide to Teaching Research. And she was talking about how, in her classroom, she has her analytical students, and then she has her more creative students. And the creative students sometimes are not as, geared towards reading a research study. So what she does is she pairs them up, the analytical students, a few in a group, creative students, a few in a group, and she actually has them make infographics like we discussed earlier, where she has those creative students make more of the visuals, make more of the outline, and the analytical students fill in the blanks, where she really takes and shows even students that, building off the strengths of those students. So, that's not my idea. It actually came in from a great educator from the massage therapy profession, but I think that's a wonderful way of bringing all your students in, regardless if they like numbers or not, and let everyone have their strengths in the project.
Wow, that's a great approach. We may need to get her on the education committee, Brent. So,
I think that's a good idea.
all right, next slide, please. So, well, we've talked a lot about resources with regards to research, but sometimes it's really hard to take these complex topics and put them in the classroom. So sometimes you might need some creative ideas or approaches to how you might teach some of these more complex topics. And so on this slide here just kind of gives you a list of different resources that you can look up, both that are general for just teaching for higher education, but also for those of you that are teaching online and you're struggling with ways to try to meet certain competencies or trying to translate things in the online format, using the guidelines or standards from Quality Matters can help you with that. Magna Pubs, or Magna Publications, has a lot of different resources, both for online as well as for face-to-face instruction, for specialized type of instruction, especially for healthcare educators. And one of the things that is a big proponent at my college is high impact practices. I can't tell you how important getting a knowledge base of high impact practices, how that really can influence the way that you teach. And then, of course, if you're looking for something to guide you from the massage therapy education perspective, there's no place better to go than CompTIA, the Commission on Massage Therapy Accreditation, because they help to develop their competency table of skills, helps to guide your curriculum, and helps give some sort of real, like a checklist of, have I taught this? Have I assessed this in all of my students? So these are just great resources that you can use to help expand and develop and really enrich your curriculum. So since we didn't get a chance to share what was going on at the Massage Therapy Foundation earlier, we just like to kind of let you know about a few things that are upcoming. Some of you may have heard about our ergonomics project that we have been working on for the last year or so. Well, we've just completed phase 1, and we are getting ready to roll out some of the results of the phase 1 over the next year. It was a huge document that came out. I have to say I'm very lucky that we were able to get all of our data collection and do our sites right before the COVID shutdown happened. And so our ergonomists that have been working with us were able to do all of that data analysis and stuff and actually get us a report just recently. So we at the foundation have been sort of delving through this and kind of parsing all of this stuff out, and we're getting it ready to roll out to the profession, and we can't wait to share it with you. Another thing that we're working on too is practice-based research networks. We are trying to help create a model for that. Some of you may have heard of MassageNet. We're working with that in trying to sort of create a model. And then we have some more webinars and new research purchases that are going to be coming out on a regular basis. So please make sure that you sign up, be a part of our newsletter. You can do that on our website. Of course, if you're a donor, you get that stuff automatically, and they let you know about everything that we do at the foundation. But we have lots of exciting things as we're rounding up our 30th year with more and more things that are just going to enrich your classroom and enrich your practices.
All right, one of the things that as we go off, I can't emphasize enough, if you're interested in any of these resources from either organization, that you reach out. I know both organizations, their staff is very approachable and just very kind, very easy to talk to. And if you need to contact the Massage Therapy Foundation, I recommend that you can, of course, go to the website massagetherapyfoundation.org. The IJTMB is www.ijtmb.org. And if you need information about the massage therapy program, or not massage therapy program, Massage Therapy Foundation, info at massagetherapyfoundation.org. Again, our staff is super, super nice, easy to talk to and approachable, and they often find even more things than what I even asked for. So they're just so helpful. And Michelle, if you would like to tell us about the AFMTE contacts.
Sure. So we would love to have you pop over and visit us at our website. All of the resources that we talked about today are available there. I've also listed here for you our direct emails if you'd like to reach out to either Stan or myself, and many ways to connect with us coming up. You can follow us on Facebook. You can receive our newsletter. We'll have some webinars to share with you. You could sign up for that mentorship project if you're interested in that. So many, many ways for us to connect in the future.
Excellent. Well, for those of you that have joined us for today, and for those of you who might be watching this later on, and as a recorded version, you can earn continuing education credit today. All you need to do is go to that website that's listed on the slide, and you can take a quick little quiz, and you can earn 1 CE for today. It's just that simple, and it's free. So hey, nothing better than that. And it kind of goes towards those professional training that you guys were talking about, I remember, at the Alliance. So there you go. Here's just one way to earn 1 hour. Real easy. So we want to thank you all for joining us today. I know that massage therapy educators nationwide have really been feeling the pains of the pandemic and how we've been trying to adapt to teaching, but we really appreciate you taking out your time to sort of join us today. And I want to thank my colleagues, Brent Jackson, Michele Renee, Stan Dawson. Thank you so much for joining us today and putting together this wonderful presentation for our colleagues.
It's been such a pleasure to be here with you today, Robin. Thank you so much. Thank you, Brent.
Thank you, Robin, and thank you, Michelle and Stan, for as well. A great presentation.
Great. So I'm going to borrow this from my college president whenever she addresses us. So stay healthy, stay focused, and stay tuned. See ya.
Bye, everybody.
All right.